Yesterday, Ryan Dempster was magnificent, striking out 9 Marlins to even up the series. Today, Big Z comes off the DL, and manager Mike Quade hopes he returns to form to give the Cubs a 3rd straight solid start. It's Game 3 of this series. Next. Warm, overcast, and calm on the north side today as we get you set for Chicago Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. It's Game 3 of a 4-game series between the Florida Marlins and the Chicago Cubs here on CSN. And hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. An early Saturday afternoon of Cubs baseball. They've split the first 2 games. Marlon Byrd with a home run on Thursday. Yesterday really did contribute in the Cubs' 2-1 win.
In a lot of different ways, Len. Marlon Byrd can do a lot of things to help a ball club win a game. And against the Marlins, he swings that bat. His 21st multi-hit game of his career against the Marlins, spraying the ball to all parts of the ballpark, scored on the ball that dropped in shallow right field. And then probably his biggest play of the game, his 4th outfield assist of the season, gunning down the potential tying run at second base. Just a tremendous defensive play by Marlon Byrd.
He might have to change the spelling of his first name to include an I instead of an O in Marlon. And he, of course, is in the lineup again this afternoon against the veteran right-hander Javier VAZQUEZ. Bob, he got off to a really bad start, but his last 5 outings he's been fantastic, and the Cubs are pretty familiar with him.
They've seen a lot of Javier VAZQUEZ. You talked about his last 5 starts. He hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any of those 5 starts, but the Cubs should be very well aware of what VAZQUEZ is going to try to do against him today.
And Carlos Zambrano's off the disabled list. He had lower back soreness. This will be his first start in July, and he's had a lot of success against the Marlins.
And that's a good thing. He's just hoping to play follow the leaders. Matt Garza with a great start 2 days ago. Dempster with an outstanding start yesterday. Keep the ball rolling, Big Z.
So the Marlins and Cubs in Game 3, a Saturday afternoon in Wrigleyville. You can't beat it. We'll have all the action coming up next.
Brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. 75 years of being right here in Illinois means no one's closer to your wellness. Experience wellness everywhere. Subway. Every day at Subway, choose from many delicious regular footlong subs for just $5. Subway. Eat fresh. Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today or go to shophonda.com and find great values on a new Honda. AT&T Uverse. Find out more of what's possible at att.com. AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Southwest Airlines' new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates.
Overcast, warm, it's humid. Quite sure if the sun's going to burn off this cloud cover or not, but as you see the flags off in the distance, barely moving. Lights are on as we get set for game 3. Cubs taking the field, but you see the umpires breaking up the huddle. Tom Hallion, the crew chief, Phil Cuzzy at first, James Hoy at second, and Lance Barrett is over at third. Nice to see one of the supervisors here in attendance, Illinois native Larry Young, will be watching today from the press box. Now the Florida Marlins Southwest starting lineup. Bonifacio, the longest active hitting streak in the majors at 14 games. They have 2 guys in their lineup, Gabby Sanchez and Omar Infante, who've appeared in all 94 games, including today. You've got Morrison hitting third this afternoon. At the bottom, Peterson and Hayes making their first starts in the series, and Vasquez, the pitcher, batting 9th.
Take a look at the Cubs defense today, brought to you by Degree. Soriano, Bird, and Rukudome once again across the outfield, left to right. Ramirez, Castro, Barney, Pena once again across the infield, third to first. Giovanni Soto will be doing the catching today for our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher, Carlos Zambrano. See his season numbers. He's been throwing the ball really well before the injury placed him on the disabled list. Had 1 rehab start with single A Peoria, went 4 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 unearned run in that ball game. He did walk 3, he struck out 4.
Strange game yesterday. The Cubs, for the first time in 11 seasons, picked up a win without an RBI. Scored 2 runs on an error. We'll see that play a little bit later. Alfonso Soriano blooped one into right, should have been caught, was not. 2 runs in the 4th, and the Cubs won the game.
Well, we have a moment before the ball game gets underway. Let's take a look at that play on our Coors Light freeze can. Runners at second and third. A little pop up out into shallow right field. Omar Infante drifting out. Mike Stanton coming in. You could clearly see Stanton calling for the ball, but at the last second he gave way. Infante tried to make the over-the-shoulder catch. The ball dropped safely, and the Cubs put a couple of runners on the board. Freeze can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
After the game, Mike Stanton talked about it. Jack McKeon also discussed that play. Both said Stanton should have caught it. No excuses from Stanton. He was asked, however, well, if you run over Omar Infante, he's going to take the worst of it. And he said, that's why I stopped. You can understand why. 1 ball, no strikes on Emilio Bonifacio. We're underway. Now 2-0. The roster moved to accommodate Zambrano's return. Rookie right-hander Chris Carpenter optioned to AAA Iowa, where he'll get more regular work. 3-0. Fossil probably will take a strike. He does. Might even take 2 here.
Getting back to the roster move, Len, I don't think we've seen the last of Chris Carpenter. He showed tremendous promise in his short time up here at the major league level. Just needs to find that strike zone a little more consistently, because there's no question he's got big league stuff.
Leadoff walk. We'll see if Bonifacio's aggressive today against the combination of Zambrano and Soto, which can be pretty formidable. He's always been quick to the plate, and Gio's had a good year behind the plate.
Throwing out about 28% of the attempted base stealers so far this season, but it always helps a catcher when you have a pitcher on the mound that unloads that ball quickly, and Carlos does that.
A strike on Infante, who was charged with that error, leading to those 2 runs. Throw over there, pops out of the mid of Pena.
Well, I like that particular pickoff attempt right there, Len. We've talked about it in the past. The premier base stealers will get their lead and then try to peek in at the catcher and see if they can determine what the pitch is going to be, or maybe the location of the pitch. And if you snap a throw over there and catch that base runner peeking at the catcher, you can pick some guys off.
Opponents are 2 for 2 against Z, the stolen base department this year. 2 strikes to Infante.
I think that speaks to how quick he is to home plate, that they've only attempted to steal 2 bases against him. most of the good base runners. Bonifacio sliding back into first base on the far outfield corner of the bag. Force that first baseman to drag that tag an extra 8 inches in order to apply the tag. You see him going for that far corner, keeping his body out of the way, and by the time Pena gets the tag that far back, Bonifacio is safe.
Fonte went around. That's strike 3. Phil Cuzzi made the call from first.
Take a look on our Galaxy Pitch Tracks, the official remodeler of the Chicago Cubs. Good slider leading Infante right out of the strike zone. Couldn't check his swing. First out of the ball game.
Logan Morrison batting third. McKeon tweaking his lineup. Delayed steal. Here's a throw by Soto, and that is a professional stolen base. Emilio Bonifacio pulling off a maneuver, Bob, that has kind of gone by the board. The delayed steal. Now watch him. Right there.
You take a couple extra long crow hops off that bag and then break late for second base. The idea being you're not stealing on the pitcher. You're not stealing on the catcher. You're stealing on the middle infielders. Sometimes defensive players up the middle of the field, after that ball gets past the hitting zone and the runner is not running right away, they drop their heads, they turn and look away from the play. That time Bonifacio executed a perfect delayed steal.
Slide and blocked by Soto. Richard Morrison moving up in the lineup, added 5th in the first 2 games. He's hitting 3rd today. He swaps spots with Gabby Sanchez. Breaking ball drops inside. 82 degrees and a southeast wind at 1.
Feels like the wind's blowing straight down right now. Very heavy air here at Wrigley Field. Very humid. Fortunately, enough cloud cover that the sun is not burning through. Otherwise, it would be a smoking hot day here at Wrigley.
3-1. The pitch sliced foul. Who was around the batting cage before the game chatting with Aramis Ramirez and looking up at those flags. I said, when's the last time you saw that? And Aramis made a good point. He said, not during the day. We'll occasionally see those flags hanging straight down around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, but very rarely during the afternoon. Still 3-2. Billy and Shirley Williams, they must know somebody. Good seats right behind the first base dugout. We're chatting with Jack McKeon. Actually, Billy goes back to the early to mid 70s when Jack McKeon was the advanced scout for the Oakland A's when Billy finished his career playing for Charlie Finley's club. Two pitch just missed. He's walked 2 here in the inning. You alluded to Zambrano trying to continue a nice string of starts, and how about against the Marlins? You go back to May. The Cubs swept that 2-game series. The last 3 Cubs starters against the Fish have not allowed a run.
Well, we talked about the Dempster start yesterday. Not even loud outs in the ball game. A lot of very weak contact. A lot of ground balls to the left side of the infield and fly balls to the right side of the field. Dempster was really good yesterday.
Now Hanley Ramirez involved in the play of the game yesterday. We showed it to you in the open discussing Marlon Byrd's throw. as Ramirez was trying to get into scoring position, and he would have represented the tying run. Picked up his 1,000th career hit. It ended up being a single as he was gunned down at second. Third Marlon to get his 1,000th hit, and this is trouble for Rukudome. He'll have to chase it down to the wall, and the Marlins get their first run before the 9th inning in this series. It's 1-0.
Hanley Ramirez really drives this ball to the opposite field. It was a 91-mile-an-hour heater up and away from him. Got the barrel on it. The ball carried all the way out to the middle of the warning track in right field. Near collision as Carlos Zambrano was coming right there to back up home plate. Very nearly ran into Bonifacio coming down that third baseline.
Called strike to Gabby Sanchez. Z made one minor league rehab start. That was with Peoria 8 days ago. Awkward swing on a pitch that was off the plate inside. 1-2. 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 unearned run. First big league start since June 30th, when he had to leave after getting just 3 outs. Up the game in the top of the second. And that'll be a fair ball for Gabby Sanchez, and the Marlins get 2 more. Morrison and Ramirez are in, and it's 3-0. And that was that game the bullpen sucked up 12 innings as the Cubs won it in 13.
I'll tell you what, Len, we talk a lot about defensive swings, and that's a perfect example right here. Gabby Sanchez just throws his bat at the ball. Pitch was off the plate away. Little grounder right down the first baseline past Pena to play 2 more runs.
This is where those early inning walks come back to bite you. You walk Bonifacio and Morrison, and they both have scored in this inning. 1-0 on Mike Stanton. Kind of lost in the shuffle because of all the late inning madness is how well the Florida starters have pitched in this series. And you talked about how hot Javier VAZQUEZ has been, so you don't want to get too far behind. Already down 3-0. Well, this offense really did nothing the first 8 innings, both Thursday night and yesterday. Only got it going against Carlos Marmol in those 2 games. We will not see Marmol today. Getting a little time off to work on his mechanics as Stanton swings and misses. 2 down. It's the 100th strikeout.
Well, and that has been a constant so far in the first 3 games of this series. Stanton's inability to lay off the high fastball. That one at 93 on our Galaxy pitch tracks, just above the top of the zone. We've seen him chase that pitch at least a dozen times already in the first 2+ games of this series.
Stanton, the 3rd National League hitter to get into triple digits with the strikeouts. Drew Stubbs and Kelly Johnson, the other 2. Those are top of the order guys, interestingly enough. Drew Stubbs with 123 strikeouts. A 1-0 pitch to Brian Peterson, who's playing center, caught the outside corner. 1-1. He came in as a pinch runner yesterday and gets a start for Mike Cameron. Cameron 2 for 19 in his career against Z, and most opposing managers like Jack McKeon try to sneak in another lefty or 2 against Carlos when they can.
Another high pitch count inning here to start the ball game for Carlos Zambrano today. His next delivery will be number 30 here in the first inning. And coming off the disabled list, as you mentioned earlier, only 1 rehab outing, only pitched 4 innings in that game. I'm not sure how deep into the ball game he'll be able to go at this pace.
Foul tip, strike 3. So he strikes out 3 in the inning, but gives up 3 runs. The Cubs are coming up against Javier Vazquez. Mike Quaddy's remained fairly constant here to start the second half, facing the 3rd consecutive right-hander in a row. I guess consecutive in a row is redundant, right? Fukudome, Castro, Ramirez at the top, Pena, Byrd, Soto in the middle, Soriano, Barney, and Zambrano at the bottom. Deja vu all over again.
Yes, indeed. Let's take a look at the Fish defensively here this afternoon. It'll be Morrison, Peterson, and Stanton across the outfield, left to right. Bonifacio and Ramirez on the left side of the infield. Infante and Sanchez on the right side. Brett Hayes getting the nod behind the plate today for veteran right-hander Javier Vazquez. And his last 5 starts have been really good. You see his season numbers there. He has surrendered 14 home runs leading this Marlins staff. Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. He has all 4 pitches.
The first time he pitched here at Wrigley Field, he was a Montreal Expo on April 3rd, 1998. Mark Grudzelonic led off for the Expos that day. Cubs beat him 6-2. Steve Traxel over Vazquez. Rod Beck got the save. 41 degrees that day.
Traxel and Vazquez. Let's see. Time of game was about 5 hours and 45 minutes.
2:58. Not bad. Jeff Blauser was playing short for the Cubs. That's how long ago it was. Lance Johnson led off. Rukudome rolls one to Infante at second base. 1 away. Follow all of today's stats and info in real time with Cubs in-game live only at csnchicago.com. Brought to you by Honda. That start I was referring to for Vazquez was his major league debut back in '98. And he has never gone on the disabled list. Very durable guy.
Now the book on Vazquez, at least my recollection of the book on Vazquez, was always stay close to him. Don't let him get a big lead. Just try to keep the pressure on him. At some point in the ball game, he will suffer a kind of a breakdown out there on the mound. He'll start to throw pitches over the middle of the plate. I mentioned the 14 home runs he's given up already this year. Just keep it close. You're going to have opportunities to break through against Javier Vazquez.
A lot of people will be surprised to see that note among pitchers pitching today. Boy, 70 on that curveball to get Castro way out in front for the second out. The active strikeout leader is Javier Vazquez.
I think that speaks to what you mentioned a moment ago. He's never been on the disabled list. If a guy can take the ball every 5th day, stay healthy throughout the course of his career, especially with the kind of stuff that Vazquez has and has had in his career, you're going to get your share of strikeouts.
Ramirez swings at the first one. This will be a quick 1-2-3 as Infante makes a catch. A 9-pitch first for Vazquez. 3-0 Florida. He resigned as a Nationals manager. He worked for us, and he has now been hired by the Giants as a special assignment scout. K-Rod has restructured his option for next year with the Brewers. More on that in a second. How about the Rangers? They've won 9 in a row, including 3 consecutive shutouts, 2 straight over Seattle to start the second half. Francisco Rodriguez has an option for next year that would have vested when he finished a certain amount of games. But that has been changed. It would have been a $17.5 million contract for next year. His agent, Scott Boras, he has a buyout of $3.5 million. But what they did is they kicked up the buyout $500,000 and restructured the games finished clause, which now makes it a mutual option. So that makes it a little easier for the Brewers to let them close games.
I think I saw some comments from Brewer skipper Ron Renicky, and I think it's the same for most managers around baseball. You're not really aware sometimes of those clauses where guys get more money for a certain number of at-bats or a certain number of games finished, certain number of starts. I was never aware of any of those incentive clauses. I didn't want to know.
No, you shouldn't.
I wanted to use the roster the way I felt was proper to win a ball game every day. And you start getting involved with some of those incentive clauses in contracts, and you get feelings hurt, and you get some animosity between the player and the manager and the coaching staff, and that's never a good way to go about this business.
Ron Renicky said that very thing in the Buster Olney ESPN story. He said most of the time a manager doesn't know about them, so you don't have to worry. But when it's so public, I knew exactly all the numbers. It's not comfortable. And I think, you know, having read a little bit about the deal, it probably played a lot into why the Mets got rid of him in the first place. Didn't even have to worry about that possible vesting option. Brett Hayes, the backup catcher, floats one out into shallow center for a base hit as he gets his 14th start of the year. John Buck, it's most of the time back there.
At the plate, pitcher number 23, Javier VAZQUEZ.
Now, for those of you who keep a much cleaner and more accurate scorecard than I do, it was only 29 pitches in that first inning for Carlos Zambrano, not 30. I miscounted. What's new? Still an inordinately high number of pitches in that first inning. It may really limit how much Carlos can pitch today.
Vazquez a bunt, throw to second, and then to first. They get them both. 1-6-4. Barney covering first.
He did exactly what he had to do. No crow hop, no wind up to throw that ball to second base. Just scoop and throw all in one motion. Castro went down to get the low throw. Turned a nice pivot out there at second base. Big double play.
Back to the top, and Bonifacio, who walked, stole a base, and scored in the opening inning. Just back briefly on incentive clauses. There's a great website. It's Cott's Baseball Contracts, and sometimes you just refer to them to get the basic idea of what a guy's contract looks like. And I don't mean to specifically get into Aramis Ramirez's deal. There's been reports about an option that'll kick in if he gets traded this season. That would kick in automatically for next year. One of the bullet points, according to Kotz, this is just reported again, is that that option would have been guaranteed if he were an all-star 3 times between 07 and this season. Well, he was an all-star in 08. Remember, he was asked to be an all-star and declined. But if it had been number 3, he probably would have taken it. More on that coming up. 3-0 Florida. At Wrigley Field at 1:20. Be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans get a Cubs pennant compliments of Storage Wars. Season 2 premieres Wednesday, July 20th, only on A&E. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Carlos Pena will lead off the Cubs second. It's Javier VAZQUEZ, who needed just 9 pitches to get through the first. This has not been a good matchup for Carlos Pena over the years. He swings at the first one. And it'll be Morrison in left. 1 pitch, 1 out. Just to finish up, and again, it's more of the topic than it is the actual contractual detail for Aramis Ramirez. Now, he was an all-star in 05. He was an all-star in 08. And according to this detail, it didn't apply. But if he had been a 2-time all-star from 07 up to 2010 and then found out Sunday, hey, do you want to be an all-star, he probably would have said yes, or his agent would have dropped him because it would have kicked in his option for next year. And my point here, Bob, is with all the injury replacements that we talked about the last couple of days, it does make you wonder if some GMs or owners are going to either not allow all-star incentives to be included in future contracts, if it'll affect it at all, because there are just so many guys who have made it.
Guys who
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, guys who were initially picked for the all-star team would get their all-star bonuses, and then the guys who replace them would get their bonuses as well.
Now the Players Union loves it.
Oh, sure.
There's no downside to 16 or whatever it was replacement all-stars. Incentives are an interesting thing as Bird takes a strike, and I get why they're built in. A lot of times it allows a team to give a guy less money and say, okay, if you're healthy, you put games and those kinds of incentives in there. We talked about K-Rod finishing games. You get more money out of it. The other side of the coin is if you're a superstar player like A-Rod, for instance, why would he have an incentive? You're already paying him $1 bazillion to be the best player in baseball.
Give him a little tip money if he makes the All-Star team. You know?
Right. Some of these guys on the bench need some incentive here early on.
Give you an incentive clause for staying awake for the entire ball game. How's that?
He's resting his eyes.
Oh, you're busted. Jeez. Boy, that's embarrassing. I don't even know who that is. That's embarrassing. Can you imagine any other job in the world where you show up and sit down at your desk or your workplace and take a little nap for the first hour or so of work here? Come on. Sleep at night. Jeez. I guess this game is just too demanding to stay awake for 2.5 hours.
3-2 to Bird. And a base hit.
Stay hot. Well, when Marlon first came back off the disabled list after that horrific beating in Boston, he was a little behind. His rhythm just wasn't quite there. His bat was a little bit slow, but with each game he got a little closer and a little closer, and as we've seen throughout this series here against the Marlins, he is right back to where he wants to be.
Big series for Giovanni Soto. A 4-hit game Thursday night. Apparently it's contagious down there.
Well, you know, Chicago in the summertime after a day game can have that effect on visiting players. You know what I'm talking about.
You get the evening off. Yeah.
Yes.
Swing and a miss.
We talked about how quick Carlos Zambrano is to home plate. Javier VAZQUEZ, when he uses that slide step, unloads that ball very quickly. Tough to get a jump.
And like Z, he's done a good job holding opposing base stealers. They're just 2 for 2 this season against him. Swing and a miss on the curve. He's gotten a couple of punch outs on that pitch. 2 down.
In 2 strike counts, goes to that slower breaking pitch. That one at 73. They take advantage of the hitter's aggressiveness, trying to protect the plate on anything close. Really pulls the string on that curveball.
These guys were teammates for Puerto Rico on the World Baseball Classic squad, although Pudge Rodriguez caught VAZQUEZ in that tournament. Curve is outside to Soriano. Cub fans may remember April 9th, 2003. Again, VAZQUEZ was an Expo. He lost to Mark Pryor 3-0. He went 7 innings, struck out 14 Cubs, and didn't win. Pryor went the distance, a 4-hit shutout, no walks, 12 strikeouts. How about the starters in 16 innings combined for 26 punch outs? Jeff Leafer of the Expos and Alex Gonzalez of the Cubs both went 0 for 4 and struck out all 4 times.
Rough day.
Yeah. It's the golden sombrero. And it was April 9th, so it was 40 degrees that day. Makes you cold just thinking about it.
On a 40-degree day facing 2 pitchers on top of their game, you'd probably rather strike out than get one right in on your knuckles and break a bat and have a handful of bees for the rest of the afternoon.
Bank foul. One other game going on right now. The Yankees trying to get back into their series against Toronto. Game 3 of 4 up in Canada. Yankees giving up 23 runs and 2 losses to start that series, but they lead 2-1 in the second. CC Sabathia versus Ricky Romero. Pretty good matchup of lefties.
Ricky Ricardo? Oh, Ricky Romero.
Right.
Okay.
Desi Relaford not participating today.
Donnie Lucy not catching.
I come up with a Mertz. The best I could do would be Michael Wirtz. But
Fred Neffel. Well, we got all afternoon. We'll figure something out.
He got him on the high fastball to end the inning. Cubs get their first hit, but leave Byrd stranded at first.
But you don't have to remember it to love it. Prices and participation may vary for a limited time, a la carte only.
Infante rolls to Barney, who moved to his right and gets him. Brings up Morrison for the second time. He walked and scored in the first. Morrison spending his first weekend here at Wrigley Field. Has enjoyed it, bumped his head a couple of times on the low ceiling in the visitors' dugout on Thursday night. He's a big dude. I think he looks smaller because Mike Stanton's so huge, but he's put together.
Talk about banging your head in the visitors' dugout here at Wrigley. It happens to every player that comes in here for the first time, but hopefully you learn quickly.
Morrison said he's heard some interesting comments from the bleacher fans in left.
I'm sure they've been very helpful with his defensive positioning, helping him with his batting stroke, giving him some advice out there.
And he has also a chance to chat with his good friend and former Arizona Fall League teammate Darwin Barney. They played on that Mesa team back in 2008. Included Tommy Hansen. 2 quick outs.
High fastball has been a good pitch in the early going today for Carlos Zambrano. You may remember struck out Mike Stanton. And now Logan Morrison chasing a high heater.
He's only needed 4 pitches to get the first 2. Now Ramirez, who knocked in a run with a double in the first and would later score on the Gabby Sanchez 2-run single. Sinker's a little bit outside. Z wasn't happy. Like it was outside. Not sure if it was he was upset with Hallion or himself. That's a strike.
Yeah, that number 3 pitch just on the outside corner. I think that's the one that Big Z was hoping to get. Was his way back to a full count.
It's his 3rd walk. Watch the Cubs take on the Phillies Monday night, 7:05 here at Wrigley. Be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans get a Cubs squeeze bottle, compliments of Gatorade. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Just in case you missed the post-game comments or the pre-game comments today from Mike Quaddy, Carlos Marmol going to get a few days to try to get sorted out. So I'm working with Mark Riggins, chatting with Lester Strode, the bullpen coach, earlier this morning. Certainly there are some mechanical issues, and as you talked about, Bob, there have to be some confidence issues as well. So for the time being, Sean Marshall, Kerry Wood will share the closer duties. That could affect everybody else a little bit in the bullpen. You might see Jeff Samardzija pitch a little later in games. And the idea is to get Marmol back to where he was and get him back in that 9th inning. But there's no timetable. It's not like 2 days off, get back in, make 2 appearances, and then you close again. It's all going to depend on how it goes. James Russell, another guy who will see an increase in pressure situations.
And it could happen very quickly. A lot of times, especially if it's a mechanical issue and you correct whatever it is that was causing that slider to flatten out, and it comes back quickly, then you throw him right back on that horse, and here we go again. But until you can get that slider with the same kind of movement that he had when he was effective, just going to continue to work on it. As you said, no timetable. However long it takes to get Carlos Marmol back, that's how long it will be.
Weird inning here for Z. Easily got Infante and Morrison. Then he walked Ramirez. He's 3-1 on Gabby Sanchez. And it's caught as Castro waited, timed the leap beautifully and made the catch. Still 3-0 Florida in the 3rd. At the Coors Light Northside Baseball Viewing Party. Come by Tommy's on Waukegan and Morton Grove to win prizes. Enjoy Coors Light and watch the Northsiders take on Houston. Be there Friday, July 22nd at Tommy's on Waukegan in Morton Grove. Darwin Barney batting 8th, leading off the Cubs 3rd. That is foul. Sat in the right-handed batter's box. So I walk in the clubhouse about 9:15 this morning, and there are several flat screens in the clubhouse. Normally, one of the screens will have the MLB Network or the highlight shows, and the other monitors will have video of that day's opposing starter, kind of like a running scouting report. Well, today there was one monitor that had about a 5-second clip that was looped and running over and over and over and over for about 15 minutes. And I noticed Darwin Barney never did look at it, although he did see it. It was the strikeout on the curveball, kind of an awkward emergency hack against Ricky Nolasco yesterday. So I asked Darwin, did you see it? He goes, I saw it. So that's just the way this game works.
It happens to everybody at some point in your career. Sometimes it happens a lot to some batters, but you get fooled by a pitch. You just try to protect the plate as best you can in that 2-strike count, hoping to get a piece of the ball and stay alive. But you know how teammates can be in this game. They're not going to let him forget that at bat anytime soon.
And normally he does make contact. That's kind of why you're allowed to be ribbed. Z gets ready to hit. The Cubs Wives Food Drive presented by Myers coming up Saturday, August 6th here at Wrigley Field. Don't forget to bring healthy, non-perishable food items with you to the game. Fans who make a donation of 10 eligible items or $20 will get a Cubs autographed photo. Limit 2 per person while supplies last. All proceeds benefit Lakeview Pantry. For more information, call 773-404-CUBS or visit Cubs.com. I mean, let's say, for instance, it were Adam Dunn swinging and missing for a strikeout. You probably don't loop that in the clubhouse. That's a sore subject with all the strikeouts. But Barney's not a guy who strikes out a lot. So because it was out of the ordinary, you're allowed to make it a comedic moment. Got to pick your spot. Some guys can be a little sensitive, but I don't think Darwin is that type of guy.
Well, this game has a way of embarrassing you. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you prepare, there are going to be times where you end up looking funny out there on the field. And like I said before, it happens to everybody at some point. We've seen defenders step on their own shoelaces and trip. Saw an infielder go down for a ground ball one time, step on the webbing of his glove and did a header right over onto his face. We've seen some very, very awkward slides on the bases that make you chuckle a little bit, and when appropriate, your teammates are going to pile on.
Two and two. Try to compare guys in terms of their delivery. Javier Vazquez and Ryan Dempster don't have the same delivery, but they start very similarly. Now Vazquez more to the first base side, but he has that wide stance as he gets ready to go into his windup. That's going to hold up. Morrison will make the catch for out number 2.
Hit it too good. Too much carry on that line drive. Looked like it might drop in shallow left field for a base hit, but Big Z hit it harder than I thought. Carried all the way out to Logan Morrison.
How good was Ryan Dempster yesterday? 8 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks.
I mean, his command of all of his pitches was just tremendous. I mentioned earlier all the ground balls to the left side of the infield and lazy fly balls to the right side. That tells me that he was throwing the ball right where he wanted. That sinker down and in, getting the hard ground balls to the left side, the slider, the splitter away, getting the soft fly balls to right field. When you get locked in and can hit those spots consistently, you're going to get a lot of ground balls right at your infielders.
On the outside corner, 1-1.
I don't know. Like that pitch drifted a little further off the plate than Tom Hallion thought.
We haven't yet had the Tom Hallion called third strike call, have we?
Not yet.
At some point today we'll see it. It's one of our favorites. Rather see it with a Marlon at the plate.
You see those first 2 pitches running the count to 1-1. This ball up and in, 92 miles an hour. Now Rukudome in a 1-2 hole.
Could not hold. And that's it. The inning is over. 4th strikeout for VAZQUEZ. KOSUKE saying, not so sure. 3-0 Florida.
Or more with the KFC 10-piece family feast, just $20.
And our AT&T trivia question. Name the last National League MVP winner to play for a team with a losing record. Answer coming up. You know where we go with that one. You go to Andre Dawson, 1987. The last place Cubs. And the question is, has there been one since? Hawk will conduct the 7th inning stretch. We look forward to that. Mike Stanton at batting practice in San Francisco in May hit one near the big glove. Now, you know how far it is from home plate. It's a big 501 right near that glove. 500 feet. Crushed to deep right, and there's that power. I mean, he can hit it a mile. 19 homers now for Mike Stanton. It's 4-0.
We were talking about him in game 1 of the series. Even when he mishits a ball, he hits it hard, but he got every bit of that one. I mean, he hit that ball to the opposite field the way you see left-handed pull hitters go deep to right field. This ball up and out over the plate at 93, got the barrel of the bat on the ball and hit it about 3/4 of the way up the bleachers in right field. Man. And that is not wind aided whatsoever right there. There is absolutely no wind affecting anything here today.
Several players currently in baseball at 21 or younger, and he has the most home runs among that group now with 41. The 0-1 to Peterson, hit on the ground. Nice play, Carlos Pena on the short hop.
A reunion here today, Len, the 30-year reunion of St. Scholastica High School on Chicago's north side. 50 ladies here today wearing their passion shirts, the Cub passion shirts with the number 10 making up the I-O and the word passion. So hope they're having a great day. There they are.
Skipped to Castro, gets Brett Hayes. Brett Hayes went to Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, California. A few years before Mike Stanton would attend that same high school. Now they're teammates in the big leagues. Vasquez bunted into a double play his first time. He can hit a little bit, a career .204 batter.
You see a lot of times with veteran pitchers like Javier Vasquez, if they come to the plate with runners in scoring position, you'll see him bear down a little bit, really try to hit to the situation, but with nobody on and 2 outs, he's just going to go up there and try to hit one out of the ballpark, and if not, go back out and pitch the next half inning.
21-year-old Mike Stanton did hit one out of the park to lead off the inning, and it's now 4-0 Marlins. NL MVP winner. Play for a team with a losing record. It was Andre Dawson, 1987. Couple in the American League since. 49 home runs for a team that finished last in the old NL East. Cal Ripken in '91 with the Orioles. was the MVP in the AL, and A-Rod with Texas in 03. Teams had a losing record. See, that 91 Orioles team lost 95 games. And A-Rod's club with Texas 20 under. Strike one on Starlin Castro. Cubs trying to start something here against Javier VAZQUEZ. They only have one hit. Ramirez and Pena will also bat here in this inning. Swing and a miss on a slider. Strikeout number 5. Mojica now found out Jim Tianis was shooting him from the Cubs dugout.
Well, we know Jimmy wasn't sleeping. He's hard at work.
Well, at least he had a sense of humor about it. Ramirez takes a fastball upstairs. Now, the visiting clubhouse here at Wrigley Field, they get our feed, not the visiting feed. So I'm sure somebody saw what we saw and sent word down to the Marlin bullpen. Hey, wake up.
I'm sure he was just doing some kind of relaxation technique.
Resting his eyes.
To enhance his concentration.
Hit well, but Stanton will run it down. 2 away.
I mean, big Lee Arthur Smith used to take a nap, but it was always up in the clubhouse, and then he'd come strolling out to the bullpen, I think in the 8th inning every day, taking about a half an inning to walk from the dugout down to the bullpen. But when it was time for him to go out there and toe that slab, he was wide awake.
Talked with Pena about his struggles against Javier VAZQUEZ. He's 3 for 24. Now, 2 of those hits are home runs. He said he knows when he struggles against guys. He didn't look at the numbers. I didn't tell him the numbers because he didn't ask. But he said just tries to keep it simple. Have a simple plan. Don't try to cover everything. You don't want to overthink or overanalyze, especially when you've had some struggles against a particular pitcher.
Most of the time with Javier VAZQUEZ, for guys that have struggled against him, it's pitch selection more than anything else. If VAZQUEZ finds that you will chase pitches out of the strike zone, he is not going to throw you anything over the heart of the plate. And he's got that kind of command, especially with the slider off the outside corner, the fastball off of the inside corner. He can elevate pitches when he wants to, and if you show him that you're going to chase pitches out of the zone, he's just going to expand that zone and force you to chase even worse pitches.
You see, he's only missed the strike zone a handful of times. 15 in the game. Swing and a miss on a changeup. So we've seen a fastball, a breaking ball, and a changeup in the first 3 pitches. Now what?
Well, that's what you ask yourself as a hitter. That's when you can think yourself into a slump, when you try to think, okay, he won't throw that again. He might throw this again. He won't throw that again. Especially with 2 strikes, you just have to react to what you see, be ready to hit his fastest pitch, and adjust to everything else. Saw Carlos Pena tapping the handle of the bat on home plate and then listening to it, like a musician would listen to a tuning fork. There's a very distinct sound and a vibration when you think you've cracked your bat. If there is a crack in the bat, it'll sound a little different, a little more high pitched. If it's still intact, it'll have that good hum you like to hear.
And it's going to drop And it kicks foul.
Man.
Bonifacio with the sun coming out. Looked like the sun was starting to come out as that pitch happened. And Bonifacio was unable to adjust in time. Pena standing at first base. Does he realize it's foul? And now he does.
That's just unfortunate. If that would have touched Bonifacio or any of the Marlins defenders in fair territory, it would have been a base hit. But unfortunately, it checked up, rolled into foul territory untouched, and will just go as a foul strike.
Another one right there, Carlos, but keep it fair. Well, it really warmed up, didn't it? You can feel it.
Yep.
Got him that time on the changeup to end the inning. Vasquez has been in a groove all day, and he has a 4-0 lead.
You could win $5 footlong subs from Subway.
The Menards grounds crew taking care of the infield between innings. Bunted by Bonifacio. Foul. He tries to extend his career best hitting streak to 15. Carlos Zambrano coming off the DL today. Start in over 2 weeks.
Infield hits for the Marlins third baseman. Only Michael Bourne of the Houston Astros with more infield hits.
He's not your prototypical third baseman. He can play a lot of different spots. He swings and misses for strike 3.
You said not the prototypical third baseman. Generally, teams look for power from their corner infield spots and corner outfield spots. Look for defense and speed from everywhere else on the field. But if you can get some home runs from your shortstop or your second baseman or your center fielder, and have a third baseman like Bonifacio who has speed, can get on base, generate some runs with his legs, what difference does it make where you get your power from, as long as you get some?
Well, they do get some from the catcher Buck.
Sure. I mean, you know, the Cubs with Sandberg and Mark Grace on the right side of the infield, a perfect example. Gracie was not a big-time home run hitter, but he got on base a lot. He got his hits, he drew his walks, and Ryan Sandberg hit all the home runs for the right side of the infield.
Two and one. OMAR Infante. Other notes around baseball. Saw an interesting story, and you might find this fascinating. Russell Martin, catcher for the Yankees, as Infante rolls it back up the middle for a base hit. Accused, which is actually a strong word in this particular case, the Blue Jays of stealing signs. But he's not angry with the Blue Jays. He was mad at himself Thursday night for not picking it up sooner. He said that they were relaying signs from second base to the batter. The Blue Jays won that game 16-7. They had 8 runs in the first. He said by the 4th inning he figured it out and changed the signs. But I think it's a really interesting story. What he thought they were doing, Bob, is moving their head one way for a fastball, moving their head the other way for a slider, and they had a lot of guys at second base in that inning. He said there's a reason you give multiple signs. It's part of the game. It's a fun part of the game too. That was always my contention or question. Is the runner's going and a fly ball out to center, Marlon Byrd will make the catch. And Infante will head back to first. Girardi, his manager, former catcher, said part of the game and got to keep switching it up. So of everybody they talked to about this story, nobody pointed a finger at the other team and said we'll get them back. It was we need to make sure that they don't do it.
And I think that's absolutely the right attitude to take. I mean, my playing time with the Toronto Blue Jays all the way back in 1989 was very limited, but even back then the Blue Jays were sticklers. If you were a runner at second base and you had an opportunity to be on that bag for more than 3 or 4 or 5 pitches, you were expected to at least relay location, in or out. And if you were able to decipher the signs well enough that you could actually tell what pitch was coming, you were expected to give that to the hitter. And they were notorious for it even back as far as 1989, maybe well before that. So I'm not surprised at all.
Joe Girardi said it's studying, it's not cheating. He said if it comes from the bullpen or somebody with binoculars, that's different. But if it's a player in the game, and there's that unwritten rule book that we refer to all the time, and he added the catcher is the guy who has the best vantage point, whether or not a guy is stealing signs.
And sometimes it's not even the signs themselves that are given. Sometimes a catcher will set up differently on a fastball than he does on an off-speed pitch. And teams and players are constantly looking for any kind of a tip-off. We used to sit in the video room for hours watching opposing pitchers' deliveries, seeing if there was anything they did differently on one pitch that they didn't do on another pitch. Just try to constantly look for any small edge you can get in a game.
John Farrell, the Blue Jays manager, by the way, said he was not aware that his hitters were doing that.
Of course not. And there are so many different subtle ways to relay to the hitter what pitch is coming or what the location of the next pitch is going to be. It doesn't have to be as obvious as looking one direction on a fastball and looking the other direction on an off-speed pitch. There's a lot of different ways to relay those signs to the hitter at the plate without ever being detected.
That one clubbed a deep left for Ramirez. And coming around is Infante. He was running with the pitch. He'll score standing as a relay throw got by Castro. It's 5-0. Ramirez with 2 RBIs today from that cleanup spot. He was off and running on a 3-1 and was easily able to score on this double.
Zambrano tries to come in on Hanley Ramirez. Quick bat that time. Jerk hooked that ball down into the left field corner. Cubs setting up a double cutoff. It gets away from Castro, and by the time Barney's able to retrieve it in foul territory, no chance for a play on Infante at home plate.
Mark Riggins on the phone. We'll see some action in the Cubs bullpen. Looks like Ramon Ortiz had a couple of starts now working in the bullpen. Will get up. Yeah, the other part of sign stealing or studying, however you want to put it, it's not only detecting the signs, but it's detecting whether or not a hitter is getting the signs. You look for clues to see if a pitcher's tipping his pitches. Guys get really good swings on pitches in certain counts that they shouldn't. That's a telltale sign.
Yeah, the way they react. For example, a 3-1 count, notoriously a fastball count. If you throw a changeup on a 3-1 count and that hitter is not fooled, that tells you either he's a real good guess hitter or somebody is letting him know what's coming somehow. I mean, we blame the catchers a lot and the pitchers as well, but sometimes it'll be the infielders. A middle infielder will position himself a little differently on an off-speed pitch than he does on a fastball, and if he does it too soon, even a hitter at the plate can see that without help from a base runner. We've talked about this at length before, and the thing that amazes me is that there are a lot of hitters, maybe the majority of hitters, they don't want to know. They would rather just stay with their program, see what the pitch is, react to it in a natural fashion, as opposed to knowing what pitch is coming and maybe overswinging, trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark too often. I could never figure that out. If you're right 51 times out of 100, I want them. That's a slight edge, and that's all you're looking for in this game.
Full count, 3-2 on Gabby Sanchez. Marlins with 3 in the first, 1 in the fourth, another here in the fifth.
Well, let me take it just a step further as long as we're talking about this, Len. What was I going to say? Jeez, you got me going on this sign stealing stuff here.
Hey, we've got a few innings left.
Yeah, let me think about it. It was good though.
I'm sure it was.
It's called a tease, fans.
It'll come back.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Okay.
The other side of the coin is it makes you a better defensive team when you approach it that way from the offensive side. If you're trying to steal signs from the opposing team and relay that to your own hitters, when you're on defense and your pitcher's on the mound and your catcher's calling the signs, you are going to be a lot more careful to make sure you're not doing anything to tip it away to the opposing team. And once again, going all the way back to '89 with the Blue Jays, that was the case. We had a very complex set of signs with the runner at second base that changed from pitch to pitch to pitch during the course of an at-bat. There was no way an opposing team could steal the Blue Jays signs that the catcher was giving to the pitcher. I knew it would come back to me eventually.
Oh yeah, it always does. I'm glad it did.
I'm glad it did today. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that'll pop into your head at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh yeah, now I remember. And the worst thing in the world, the thing that managers and pitching coaches hate to hear, is a pitcher or a catcher saying, "Oh, that's too hard. That's too tough."
Go to the NFL and look at the playbook.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Cheese. Blocked by Soto. Mike Stanton.
I can't imagine any other walk of life where you go up to your boss and say, "You know, hey, all this stuff you're having me do here, it's just too hard. It's a lot easier if I just do it my way. You can do it your way somewhere else."
Another ball hit a ton by Mike Stanton, and that's a 3-run blast as he got behind 2-0, and Stanton made him pay. 2-homer day for Stanton. And he's gone to the opposite field both times. Wow.
I don't think there is an opposite field for Mike Stanton. When he's making solid contact, there's not a ballpark in the major leagues that can keep him inside the barriers Fastball right down the middle of the plate at 93. Absolutely crushed just to the right of straightaway center.
So it's a Honda call to the pen. It'll be Ramon Ortiz working in relief for the first time as a Cub. 8-0 Florida. Base is cleared after the Stanton 3-run homer. Those numbers coming in 2 starts for Ortiz, who now works out of the bullpen. 1-0 pitch to Brian Peterson. This is 2-0. Stanton now with 20 home runs on the season. It's the 3rd career 2-homer game for him, the first this season. He's going to have a few more before it's all said and done. He's only 21 years old. Marlon Byrd makes the catch, and the inning is over, but they double their lead here in the 5th. It's now 8-0 for the visitors. Javier VAZQUEZ cruising along and now has an 8-0 lead. Season high 8 runs allowed by Carlos Zambrano in his first start off the disabled list. And here's the 0-1 to Marlon Byrd off the outside corner. In on the hands, 1-2. The Braves last night with an 11-1 win over the Nationals, the 10,000th win in franchise history. They were the Boston, Milwaukee, and now Atlanta Braves, third franchise to get to 10,000 wins. The Giants are nearing 10,500. The Cubs with 10,278 all-time wins.
Well, and we were talking about Vazquez and his ability to expand the strike zone, and this is where it really gets tough. When you spot him to a big lead, the general consensus is when you're trailing by 8 runs in the 5th inning, you take a strike. Well, you spot Javier Vazquez a strike in an at bat, and it's going to be tough to come back against him. That leading slider starts it right on the outside corner. When you have 2 strikes as a hitter, you have to think about protecting the plate, and it just slid off the outside corner. A good take that time by Marlon Byrd. Same pitch.
Took a lot off that one. 7 strikeouts for Vazquez.
Look at that pattern off the outside corner. Fastballs in the strike zone, breaking balls, leading hitters right out of the zone.
Milwaukee's dropped 2 in a row to start the second half, both at Colorado. Cardinals lost as Brandon Phillips last night. Game-ending 2-run homer off Fernando Salas. 6-5 Reds. The Pirates won, so guess who's tied for first?
The
Pirates
Buccos
and the Cardinals, with Milwaukee a half game back. Stroll through the home of the Cubs. Get an insider's look at more than 97 years of history in this legendary ballpark. Guided tours may include visits to the press box, clubhouses, and dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step on the field. For more info or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Tour sizes are limited and sell out fast, so get your tickets today.
A big part of the reason that the Pirates are tied for first place going into play today is the way they played against their own division. They have the best record against their own division, the National League Central, of any team. 9 games over 500. The Reds at 8 games over against the Central, but Pirates have played extremely well against the teams in their own division.
Pirate John Grabo up in the bullpen. Fastball in there. It's 2-2 to Soriano. Chased a bad one, and the inning is over. Cubs still with just 1 base runner. That was a Marlon Byrd second inning single as they trail 8-0.
Is on Comcast Sportsnet. Tune in as the Fire try to chop down the Portland Timbers at Toyota Park. That still doesn't make much sense to me. Burn them down. Don't miss a minute of the action. Fire Timbers tonight at 7:30. Only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Burn, baby, burn. One strike. Catcher Brett Hayes. All Marlins here early on. See where this got Hayes, who has protection on that front foot. Good thing he does.
Looked like it got him right on the guard one of the few times that happens. No matter where you put that protective guard, usually the ball hits just above it or just below it.
Sliders high, 2-1. He's got Ramon Ortiz on a minor league deal near the beginning of the season. Spent most of this season at Iowa.
It's that kind of day. Those flip down shades are definitely the order of the day. Sun peeking in and out from behind the clouds. At times it's very overcast, at other times bright sunlight. That's why they invented those flip down glasses.
And they're in use.
Ooh.
Right on cue.
Fixing the lens. Perhaps one of them kind of popped out. Lays him on the ground between pitches. That's kind of unusual. But got him repaired in time to use him on that high pop-up.
Vasquez already with a season high 8 strikeouts on the mound. I guess you would call it vintage Javier Vasquez when he's at his best. This is the kind of performance you'll see. And he lines one out into the gap. Byrd will cut it off to keep Vasquez to a single.
When I mentioned early on, Len, that the book.
He's going to take off for second, and he's safe. He just got in. Ortiz with the throw, a little late. Way too many defensive miscues.
Marlon Byrd wheels around, tosses it back to the infield. Not sure where Starlin Castro was going. The ball was coming to the bag. That's his responsibility. Ortiz not really in a backup position, was late getting over there, and then by the time they threw back to second, Vasquez is called safe.
The error will go on Marlon Byrd. It sure looked like they got him at second. At any rate, one strike to Bonifacio.
Well, that's a tough error on Marlon Byrd. Threw the ball right back into the bag at second base.
Infield pop-up. Carlos Pena will take it.
I was starting to say about Javier Vasquez. We mentioned early on in the ball game that the book has always been stay close to him, keep it a close ball game, and at some point he will give you opportunities to score runs. But the 2 home runs by Mike Stanton in this ball game have really pushed that lead, and pretty comfortable 8-zip lead right now for the Marlins. Got to find a way to get through to Vasquez.
Mention off the top, Infante and the other guy on the right side of the infield, Gabby Sanchez. They played in every game this year. It's a nice luxury to have. Pretty much count on those 2 guys to be in the lineup somewhere. 2-0. Well, he has been their everyday second baseman. In a pinch, he can play just about anywhere. Tickets are still available for many of the great matchups for the 2011 season. To purchase tickets, go to Cubscott.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Sinker did not come back and catch the corner. 3-0. The 3-1 pop foul. And a rough go for the Orioles. They've lost 9 in a row going into action today. It's tied for the longest losing streak Buck Showalter's ever had as a big league manager. Fair diving stop. Ramirez from his knees. Safe at first. Good effort. They couldn't get him. It'll be an infield hit.
Nice play just temporarily to keep another run off the board for the Marlins. Diving play by Aramis Ramirez. That ball was headed for the left field corner in extra bases, and another Marlin run. See the runner VAZQUEZ advancing from second to third as Ramirez throws from his knees across the diamond. Made it a very close play over there.
Close as it gets. They might have gotten very, very close. One 0 to Logan Morrison. High fly ball. Bird drifting on the warning track at the wall. It's into the basket for a home run to make it 11-0. Wind is blowing just a little bit out toward left center, but with the sun out, a hot day. It's an offensive day at the park, and today it's been that way for the Marlins. 3 home runs.
This looked like a lazy fly ball to straightaway center field off the bat of Logan Morrison. Hit it high in the air. Initially, I thought Marlon Byrd was going to square up right there on the warning track and make the play, but as you mentioned, just enough wind pushing that ball toward the bleachers that it was able to get up into the basket for a 3-run bomb.
Well, they have really busted out the bats today. The 0-2, swing and a miss, strike 3, and the inning is over. They add 3 to their lead, and it's now 11-0 in the 6th. There's only one place to go for the best local sports news and highlights. Sportsnet Central. Every night at 6:30, 10, 10:30, and midnight only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. A couple of changes here. Bonifacio goes from third to second. Infante is out. Might have been a little gimpy as he scored in the top of this inning. And veteran Wes Helms will take over at third. Barney leading off. Jeff Baker's going to hit for Ramon Ortiz. Right back to the pitcher.
And Len, I noticed Infante was limping on the Ramirez double back in the 5th inning. He came around and scored from first base, and as he crossed the dish, very gingerly made his way back to that first base dugout. Not sure exactly what the issue is, but he's out of the ballgame.
Marlins, by the way, with a season best 11 runs. Their previous high was 9. They got 11 against the Pirates right at the end of last year. And the other part of this is the Cubs offense needs to get something going. There's Infante earlier, maybe cramped up, not quite sure, but he's out. Just after I said he's played in every game. Curveball missed low and away. Cubs got 2 runs without an RBI on the Blue error in the 4th inning yesterday. They scored 3 times Thursday night. Nothing at this point today.
If you've watched Javier Vazquez closely today, when we show you the Galaxy pitch tracks, there are definitely patterns that he's trying to work on individual hitters. Look at all those fastballs up at the top of the strike zone here to Jeff Baker. We've seen an Alfonso Soriano at bat where all the pitches were low and away off the outside corner as Baker goes down on strikes. It's just the mark of a pitcher that has a game plan against each hitter and is able to execute it.
2 zones, high and low and outside.
Yep.
Yep.
High fastballs and off-speed pitches just off the outside corner.
See how he works Fukudome, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Starts him with a get-me-over curveball. 0-1. That's been his best pitch today.
He certainly had great command of it. Some days you have good break on that curveball, but you end up leaving a lot of them in the middle of the plate or bouncing a lot of them in the dirt. But he's been able to command that curveball, throw it for strikes when he wants to, throw it off the edge when he wants to.
This has been a Josh Beckett at bat, so to speak. Curveball low, fastball high. Changeup. Shallow center, and Peterson, I think if he leaves his feet, he catches it. That ball bounced right in front of his toes.
I'm not so sure he ever really saw that ball. The way he reacted to it, he very nearly overran it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, he saw it go up. He's charging in there. And right there, he looked for some help from Bonifacio. I don't think he ever really had a good beat on that ball at all. Very fortunate for him that he was able to keep it in front and hold Kosuke Fukudome to a single.
First hit since the BYRD single in the 2nd. Snapped a string of 13 consecutive batters sent down by Vazquez. including 8 strikeouts. Signed this veteran righty on a 1-year deal, and it was not easy early on. His ERA on June 11th was 7.09. He has been lights out since. One and two now to Castro. Well, the Marlins right now, even though they're playing pretty well, are mired in last place in the East. And I'm sure, Bob, there are plenty of scouts watching a guy like Javier VAZQUEZ with an expiring contract. Maybe help out a playoff contender down the stretch. A swinging bunt for Castro. That'll be a base hit. Back-to-back 2-out singles. Either ball hit hard. But the inning's still alive for Ramirez.
Once again, look at the Galaxy pitch tracks. Everything from the middle of the plate away to Starlin Castro, including that last breaking pitch that was a good 6 or 8 inches off of the outside corner. But the swinging bunt put a couple of runners on for Ramirez. How about a little 2-out lightning here?
Driven to deep left. Ramirez gone. A 3-run line drive home run. So they're on the board. It's 11-3.
Big mistake by Javier VAZQUEZ. Middle of the plate fastball at 92 miles an hour to a notorious first ball fastball hitter, and Ramirez makes him pay. Rocket line drive into the front row out there in left field, and she lost her beverage, maybe a rib or two.
Yeah, she was smiling, but that one looked like it hurt. As Aramis hits his 16th of the year. You called it a little 2-out lightning. I'd say so. A strike fast. Still down 8. However, as Pena swings and misses at a changeup. All right, she got the ball. She's all right.
All's well that ends well.
Mixed it up the last time up. This time back-to-back changeups to Pena. Want to get some ice on it.
Leave a mark.
He tripled up on the changeup. 1-2. Four straight changeups, and he gets Pena. Ramirez with a 3-run homer, and the Cubs get their first runs of the day. They trail, however, 11-3. Jim Tianis caught Edward Mujica napping. And Mujica eventually found Jim. They had a little fun with one another today. All's well that ends well. Left-hander John Graybo in, facing Gabby Sanchez. Hall of Famer Andre Dawson will conduct the stretch coming up. Change up low and outside, 1-1. Popped up out into center. It'll carry out to Marlon Byrd. Watch Comcast Sportsnet game replays on demand with Xfinity TV from Comcast. Don't miss the action. Call 1-800-XFINITY today. Stanton, big swing, but he hit it slowly to the third, foul. The day he's had. 2 home runs, 4 knocked in. Average at home, but he's hit just as many home runs on the road. 2 balls he hit out today might not have been home runs in his home ballpark. A lot of room out there in right center, especially left center. Broke his bat and still rolled it past Ramirez and into left.
I don't know. I think that first one Stan hit would have been out of just about any ballpark.
That's probably
he crushed that one. Both came on pitches away. Like a lot of power hitters, he just goes with it. You're going to pitch me away, I'm going to hit it that way. He knows he's got enough juice to hit it out. That first one was way back into the bleachers in right. This one just to the right of straightaway center.
Outside corner to Peterson. Stan not being held on with the 8-run difference here in the 7th. Sliders outside. 1-2. And he went around. That's strike 3.
Slider down in the dirt that time from John Graybo, ahead in the count. We've been talking about it all day with Javier VAZQUEZ expanding that strike zone when the hitter's in the hole, and Graybo does a nice job himself that time of getting Peterson to chase a pitch out of the zone.
Brett Hayes is 1 for 3. Big win for the White Sox last night, 8-2 in Detroit. Justin Verlander. Fly ball. It's Soriano in deep left center, and here comes the Hall of Famer Andre Dawson with a stretch.
Conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Cubs Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear you. Loud and clear on 3. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 3 strikes, you're out at the OMAR game. Hey! I continued playing the game. I can't thank you enough for how good you were to my family and me. You were the wind beneath the Hawks' wings.
How does that make you feel seeing that a year ago?
Well, I've only watched the video replay of it once, and I broke down. For me, the toughest thing was how am I going to get through this speech. I dedicated it to my mom, to my grandmother, and only until I was actually to see a replay, the review of it, that I had an emotional moment, and it's great to be able to listen to it, to see it again, and hear the speech itself. It's wonderful.
It was a great speech, and well-deserved. A Hall of Famer, Andre Dawson. And have you taken some singing lessons? Because, I mean, you've done the stretch before, but that you took it up a notch today. Pretty good. Soto flies to right. Mike Stanton's out there.
Nah, you know that. It just comes out. I don't profess. With this voice, no. Not a chance.
Now, were you a Cub in 1918 or something? I mean, this is the old school uni. I like it.
No,
it fits with the gray pants today, right?
Right. I saw the uni doing interleague play against the Red Sox. And so I said, man, that's pretty neat. Maybe, if we go back, we might have different results. So it was pretty eye-catching.
Well, it's always great to have you back here at Wrigley Field. Been a long-time special assistant with the Marlins. But you're always a Chicago Cub, and you know that. Fans here still love you and always will.
Well, it just doesn't change. I mean, look at this. This is what I remember. Daytime baseball, Saturday afternoon, and the bleachers filled to capacity.
2 down here, Soriano batting. As Florida leads the Cubs 11-3. VAZQUEZ has been excellent today. Stanton out in right has had a heck of a day. He's going to make the catch. Can you hang for just 2 more minutes when we come back here?
Sure, guys.
Thanks.
Okay.
Andre Dawson with us. We'll be back in the 8th. 8th inning. The Daily Double Burger back for a limited time at participating McDonald's for $1.89. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, as the Cubs are going to make some changes here, Tony Campana's in center, Blake DeWitt at third, and lefty James Russell will do the pitching. How has your life changed since you officially became a Hall of Famer? You've always been a Hall of Fame guy and a Hall of Fame player, but with that stamp on there now, how has your life changed?
Well, I try not to let it affect me too much. And what I mean by that is I was always a humble individual, kind of quiet, laid back. And with the Hall of Fame comes a lot of requests of your time. It can get to be overwhelming. A lot of time, it can be time consuming, but I try and really evaluate what it is that people are looking for, what their expectations are, and try and be accommodating as possible. But, you know, that's something that it's a tag that you're going to have as long as you live, and it's a wonderful feeling, and I just, as I say, try to be as accommodating as I can.
It probably takes you a little bit longer to sign autographs now because you have to put the HOF in the year you were elected, right?
Yeah, it takes a little while, but you know what? That's all well and good.
Yes, indeed.
Dwayne Wise, a pinch hitter, pops out. He was batting for VAZQUEZ. Tell us about Mike Stanton, 21 years old, 2 home runs today, and he's got all the tools to be a superstar in this game.
He's going to be one of the more impact power hitters in the years to come. I think he's gaining valuable experience now by playing every day and getting his feet underneath him. He's starting to make the adjustment to what the pitchers are doing to him. And just by playing every day, he's probably going to walk into 30, 35 home runs. But when he really, really understands how he has to make the adjustment to what the pitchers are doing, he's going to really do some damage.
We chat with your good friend all the time, Billy Williams, around the batting cage as he watches Cubs hitters do their thing, especially in spring training. And when Billy can see a guy swing, he can watch 2 or 3 pitches and he's got it all figured out. And when you and Tony Perez stand around the batting cage in Florida, what do you guys talk about with what you see?
Well, we don't try to change per se what the hitters are doing because they have a hitting instructor that they're working with, but you just try to get into their heads and see what they're thinking, you know, because you get here based on hitting the baseball. You know that you can do that, but if you get into a lot of bad habits and it's over a prolonged period of time, then you know there's some things you may have to tinker with here and there. So we just try not to step on any toes, but be available for those guys if they have any questions. We'll answer them to the best of our ability, but just make sure that they have a preconceived concept of what they want to do when they get in the batter's box. You know what the situation is and adjust to it accordingly.
Jeff Conine, another special assistant we see in uniform in Florida. And, you know, even the younger guys, they'll know Jeff, they'll know you. You have to remind them about Tony, who was the RBI machine in Cincinnati. I mean, to have a couple of Hall of Famers standing around the cage is a nice resource for any young hitter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they, you know, have their choice, and they try to pick the brains of each of us. But, you know, it goes a little bit more than that. We try not to talk just hitting, but make sure that they don't take that out on the field with them defensively. You play on both sides of the field, and I enjoy the opportunity that I get to work with the outfield instructor because we have a young group here, but they work hard, diligently, day in and day out, and they want to perform out there as well as at the plate.
Hey, Hawk, who maybe were some guys or a guy that stood around the batting cage when you were a young player and maybe offered you some advice that really helped get your career going?
Oh. Having stopped, but Bonifacio beats it out for a 15-game hitting streak.
Well, the way I learned was from the veterans that we had on the team. They would pull you aside after the game, and you know it's not like today. They pull you aside. You have a table there, and they pull a chair up, and they say, "Hey, Rook," or whatever, sit down, and we talk the game, and we take that, carry that over out onto the field itself, and standing around the batting cage. I always like to hear the things that the veterans had to say because they had a little bit more insight. They had been there, been through it. They knew how to make the adjustments, and they may see a flaw or two, and you know they wouldn't hesitate to address it.
Wes Helms with his first at bat today. Came into play third in the 6th.
It's been said that a lot of times the best hitting coach for a player is the guy that hits behind him in the order, because he's standing in that on-deck circle for every at-bat. He sees what you do when you're going well, and he sees what you do when you're going bad.
Yeah, well, he knows, you know, how they're working you, and it can be a learning experience for him also. But like you say, yeah, it is good to have a guy behind you, see some of the little flaws that may hinder whatever success you're trying to accomplish, and you work on it, you listen to him. Some things you want to hear, some you don't, but for the most part, they're usually accurate 99% of the time, and it's good that you have those guys that have concern like that.
2 down, it's Logan Morrison. Well, you look at your career, Hawk. I mean, you were a hero throughout the country of Canada when you started your career. You were adored by Cub fans when you came here. You eventually got to play for your hometown team, and now you work for your hometown team, and you're in the Hall of Fame. You've worked very hard to get to this place, but I'm sure you don't have any regrets about how it's going.
Not at all. When I look back, you know, even as painful as it was, I wouldn't change anything, because it made me appreciate my ability. Of course, you had to step your work ethic up a little bit, but I don't have any regrets. It played out the way that it did, and it just made me mindful of everything that I had to do on a daily basis.
And we would be remiss if we didn't give a nice plug to your good friend Dave Van Horn, a longtime Expos voice, now the voice of the Marlins. He will get the Ford C. Frick Award. And I'm sure getting nervous, he'll be giving his speech in Cooperstown, the radio voice of the Marlins. Congratulations again, Hawk. Great to see you as always here at Wrigley.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Always good to see you.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting debut for Chris Hatcher. This is not his major league debut, but it is as a pitcher. His major league debut came last year against the Chicago Cubs when he was a switch hitting catcher. And as Mel Allen would say, how about that?
Oh, about that.
Wayne Wise stays in and plays center. So Hatcher in for Javier VAZQUEZ, who was really good today. Darwin Barney takes a fastball at 94 low and out of the zone. Jeff Samardzija up. Brian Peterson in the game still. He goes to left with Morrison out. And it'll be Hanley Ramirez to make the catch. So Hatcher is the first player since Art Dahl to play his first big league season as a catcher and return in a subsequent year as a pitcher. Dahl did it for the Boston Braves. He caught in 1935, pitched in relief in 1936. Hatcher made 4 appearances behind the plate and 2 starts for the Marlins last year. That all according to Elias. So he this year has made the full-time conversion. He got called up on July 8th. He was pitching at AA Jacksonville and had a 2.31 ERA.
It's a little bit of a short arm catcher delivery out there on the mound. The catchers notoriously take that ball out of their glove and put it close to their ear and then just deliver the throw from there. Catcher has kind of modified it a little bit for the mound.
It's not all that unusual to see a conversion. In fact, Randy Wells, Carlos Marmol started their careers as catchers, but it is to see a guy get to the big league level and then quickly make the transition and get back to the big leagues.
Yep.
Now they had I think they had some injuries last year late in the year, and Hatcher probably didn't project as a major league guy behind the plate, but he did get an opportunity. And on September 19th he pinch hit against the Cubs in his debut. He went 0 for 6 in 5 games. Now prior to this year he did make 2 relief appearances at AA, but I think those were just kind of emergency situations when he was still catching. And how about this, Bob? After he got called up last year and before he made his debut against the Cubs, he wasn't pitching, but he did warm up in the bullpen because they were getting blown out and they needed a position player to possibly pitch. So he almost made his debut as a pitcher, even though he wasn't. Bizarre.
It is very bizarre, but you can see why they like him on the mound. Fastball consistently sits in the mid-90s. There's a little baby slider or a cutter in the high 80s. That just reaffirms what I have said all along. You can take a catcher and put him anywhere on the field and he'll be a good player for you.
Take him off the field, put him in the booth. 3-2 on Tony Campana. Thanks to Andre Dawson for chatting with us. Is it just me, or I mean, his singing voice has improved?
Oh yeah, he was good.
Maybe it was just confidence.
He's been practicing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there have been a whole lot of really good high fastball hitters in the history of this game. None better than Andre Dawson. He could tomahawk that shoulder high fastball in the mid-90s. You'd think you had it past him, and he would get that bat to the ball so quickly.
Now chatting with Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton over in the Marlins TV booth.
One of the best throwing arms of any outfielder during his playing days. Nobody ran on the hawk.
And the guy I just mentioned, Dave Van Horn. Congrats to Dave.
Nobody runs on Dave either.
No.
He's got a good arm.
Ford C. Frick Award winner for 2011, calling about his 80,000th Major League Baseball game. This is his 43rd Major League season, working with Glenn Geffner. Here's the 0-1. Fastball in there for a strike. In his first big league strikeout, he works a 1-2-3 8th inning. July 19th at Wrigley Field. Game time 7:05. But be sure to get here early. The first 10,000 fans receive a Cubs hat, compliments of Private Bank. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Right-hander Jeff Samardzija is on here for the ninth.
A pretty nice run for Jeff Samardzija, posting a 1.42 ERA over his last 16 games going back to the first week of June.
Out into the gap for Hanley Ramirez. What a day he's had. He's been on 4 times. 3 doubles.
Sounds good. Well, that ball was absolutely crushed. Backspin line drive, shot over the head of Starlin Castro and got to that gap in a hurry.
Gabby Sanchez breaks his bat. DeWitt knocks it down on the backhand and safe as Pena's foot came off of first base. Blake knocked it down. The rhythm gets thrown off there, but he did have time, and the throw just wasn't on the mark. It'll be an error.
Once again, just the rhythm of the play. We talk about it all the time with infielders. Everything has to work together. Your feet, your arm, your head, your shoulders, getting yourself in a good position to make a throw. And that little bobble right there threw off the rhythm of the play. Throw to Pena is wide. Oh man, that's an out. Pena does what a lot of first basemen do when they have to stretch for a wide throw. You put your foot on the bag and drag it all the way across the base as you reach for that errant throw. He was on that bag.
The Cubs haven't been good today, and they haven't gotten any calls either. Two on, nobody out, swing and a miss. It's difficult to find much good today. I mean, the Ramirez 3-run homer, but it was 11-0 when he hit it. Raybone Russell was scoreless innings in relief. That is about it. When you managed and you had days like this, did you force yourself to find something positive, or did you just try to forget it?
Yeah, you always try to forget a bad ball game, but if there was something positive to be taken from a game, if somebody made a great defensive play even in a losing effort, if one of your relief pitchers came in and gave you a couple of effective innings so you could save the rest of that bullpen, you constantly try to find something positive. A day like today, it's not easy.
Soto took a little risk and it paid off, as he does get Stanton on a ball that might have rolled foul, might not have. He chose to pick it up and get the out. I think I'm borrowing the line from Sanford and Son. Lamont said to Fred, if you don't have something positive to say, don't say anything at all. If he were watching today, he would have said, I'm positive there's nothing good to say.
I think I've told the story in the past about a former manager of mine, Roger Craig, after a dismal day at the ballpark, and pitching staff got banged around pretty good, but at the end of the day he told the writers that our pitchers backed up bases really well today. Like I said, you search for a positive.
One-0 pitch to Peterson is outside. 2-0. Right back with you tomorrow afternoon here on CSN. 12:30 for pregame live. First pitch at 1:20. We'll have all the coverage as Chris Volstad and Randy Wells will match up. Felco upcoming schedule. Finish up the series tomorrow. We'll have 2 of the 3 against the Phillies here on CSN. Same for the Astros series starting on Friday. Bob and I have a big swinging away with Len and Bob's sweepstakes event coming up Thursday. Looking forward to that. I know you've been practicing.
Yeah.
Ramirez tags and scores. It's a sac fly for Peterson. He gets his first RBI. 12-3. Third career run driven in for Brian Peterson.
I would advise the people in the Bowes Creek area, don't want to take anything valuable in off your patios. Maybe open your windows on Thursday morning, because there will be some errant golf balls finding their way into the neighborhoods.
That's the word of the day. Will be 4.
4. Big question every year when we have our swinging away with Len and Bob sweepstakes is, do I have enough ammo? How many golf balls do I need to take with me? So far we've been pretty fortunate. Neither one of us have had to finish with a range ball yet, you know, with a big red stripe around it.
Yep. I usually only play with 1. Now, it usually takes me about 13 hours to finish my round. But if I hit it in the woods, I go find it. It takes me 2 hours, 2.5, 2 minutes, whatever it takes.
I have a word for those golf balls that end up in the woods. Those are Fidos. Fido stands for a saying that I certainly can't use on the air, but you've heard me use it before.
I have, yeah.
That's a Fido.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there are some golfers out there that have hit a few Fidos. It's always a great day. I mean, out in the sunshine, hopefully not too much sunshine. Really looking forward to playing Bowes Creek this year. And we always meet some nice people, too.
Big Cub fans. Here's a 2-2. Fastball up and away. 3-2. Big crowd today, 40,709. Fortunately, I haven't had a whole lot to cheer about. Marlins got 3 in the first and have not looked back. Game in Toronto getting late. Yankees leading the Blue Jays 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th. CC Sabathia still on the mound as he looks for win number 14 on the year. That time it's fair. Hayes kept battling and he ends up knocking in a run with an RBI double. 13-3.
Hayes kept testing that third base line, pulling some pitches just foul. Finally gets a pitch that's a good 6 or 8 inches off the inside corner, but this time he's able to keep it fair past a diving Blake DeWitt for an RBI double.
Wise with his second at bat. He pinch hit in the 8th. Now playing center. Two and 0.
Something that Jeff Samardzija has done a much better job of recently, avoiding those hitters counts, the 2-0, 3-1, 3-2 counts where a hitter can really zone in against a pitcher like Jeff. Been able to jump ahead in the count most of the time. His secondary pitches have been very good most of the time. Backdoor breaking ball right there, just catches the outside corner.
White Sox fans will remember Dwayne Wise making a home run saving catch to help Mark Burley preserve a perfect game 2 years ago against Tampa Bay. Robbed Gabe Kapler of the Rays on as a defensive replacement in the 9th.
It comes full circle. I think that was the day we had a Len and Bob swinging away sweepstakes, and we were both driving back from the golf course listening to the Sox game on the radio, and
we called each other and said, "Are you listening to this?" Good call. Soriano backpedaling and makes the grab near the well for the out. They get a couple more, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. 13-3 Florida. First 10,000 fans get a Cubs chip and dip platter, compliments of Frito-Lay. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Okay. Brian Sanchez is on here in the 9th.
Pretty high walk total for Brian Sanchez. 30 base on balls in just 44 2/3 innings. Has held the opponents to a low batting average.
Castro, DeWitt, and Pena for the Cubs. Still having fun in the Marlins bullpen.
after napping through the early part of the game, those guys down that pen will be ready to roll as soon as this one's over. If you see anybody out on the streets with a Gatorade towel around their heads, you know it's a Marlins reliever.
Another one out of play. Just watching Castro this year, Bob, all around defense, offense. What would you like to see over the final couple of months?
I think just some more consistency with his defense. I think as a hitter, he is what he is. He's a bad ball hitter. He can crush balls that are in the strike zone. He can still get the pitches that are out of the strike zone. And I think you're just going to have to accept that that's the kind of hitter he's going to be his whole career. He may get a little stronger. He may get a little smarter with more experience and pick his spots to try to turn on a ball and hit it out of the park. But defensively, you just like to see him tighten up some of the routine plays where he makes errant throws to first base, because there is no question that he can make the spectacular play with the best of them. And don't lose your zest for the game. He's has an infectious energy about him when he plays the game. It's very obvious to anybody that watches on a daily basis that he loves what he's doing. He's having fun every day. And occasionally in this game you can get jaded. The longer you're around, it becomes more of a task every day to show up at the ballpark with a positive attitude. And I'd certainly like to see Starlin Castro play his entire career with the same kind of enthusiasm that he's played this season.
Well, and you bring up a bigger point about a team right now that is 2 outs away from being 19 games under 500, and you don't ever want anybody, but especially a 21-year-old kid, to get used to losing.
Right.
Three and one. Witt went after the high pitch. 3-2. Pena on deck. I know there were some in the media who were a little critical recently of the Cubs. They had the back-to-back late inning wins against the Giants. You know, the Soto home run. I think it was back-to-back, right? Ramirez and Soto won back-to-back games, and there was some criticism about how excited the Cubs were when they won, considering the record. And I think it's just the opposite. I think you want to be excited about winning every time you win.
Well, ideally, you get to a point where wins. I mean, it's always a reason for celebration when you win a ball game, but it should become almost second nature. That's what we're here for, to win ball games. We expect to win games, and we're going to act like we're going to win more games. But when you're in the midst of a bad season and there are very few positives, I can't fault guys for getting excited for some dramatic victories late in ball games.
I would be more troubled if the reaction of the players after a win like that was, well, we're still in fifth. It's about that day. You win that day, you try to come back out and win the next day.
And that's part of what it means to be a teammate too. You're excited for the guy who came up with the big hit, the hero of the day.
There's an even-keeled nature to this game that you kind of have to survive as a player, as a coach, a manager, as a broadcaster, member of the front office. It's a long, long haul. However, you never want to get used to losing. And you never want to take winning for granted, and how hard it is to win, and how fleeting it can be, and how you have to work even harder to continue to win.
Well, there's a saying down in the dugouts, especially for winning teams. After a victory, when everybody's shaking hands in the dugout before they go out to the field to high-five their teammates, you'll hear a lot of teams say the same thing. It never gets old. Winning never gets old. You never get tired of winning, whether you're winning pretty, winning ugly, winning with pitching, winning with hitting. Doesn't matter how you do it. Winning never gets old.
2-1. And if I just asked you about your career and I said compare 85 to 87, I know you would.
Oh.
You take 1987, the year the Giants went to the playoffs, over that 85 year. Any day of the week.
8 days a week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot more fun. There was obviously every game meant something. Every pitch, every play, every at bat was important. You wake up in the morning looking forward to the game that night, as opposed to 1985 when you woke up in the morning dreading going to the ballpark. I mean, excited to be in the big leagues and glad you have a job at the major league level, but knowing full well as you drove up the freeway to the ballpark that there was very little chance you were going to win a ball game that night. We lost 100 games in 1985. Probably could have lost a lot more. And that was no fun. Not even a little bit of fun.
And you're still alive.
I'll tell you one thing, though. During the course of a losing season, you can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn a lot about your teammates. I know Cub fans get tired of hearing about the San Francisco Giants under Roger Craig, but when he took over that team at the end of the '85 season, he didn't really do too much. He just kind of sat in the dugout and watched how guys went about their business, was keeping a close eye on who was still competing, who still had an emotional involvement in the game, and which guys had cashed it in. And very quickly made up his mind during that offseason who was going to be a part of that team moving forward and who wasn't necessary as we move forward. And it just took 2 seasons to get to the postseason. After a 100-loss season, we were in the postseason in '87.
4, 6, 3 to end the ball game. So the Marlins have their best offensive day of the 2011 season. Mike Stanton with a couple of home runs. As they pound the Cubs today 13-3. We always say it starts with the starting pitcher, and today was Javier VAZQUEZ who dominated the Cubs bats. He's our GMC player of the game.
Honorable mention to Mike Stanton for his performance at the plate today with a couple of long home runs. But as you said, it all starts with the starting pitcher, and Javier VAZQUEZ was as good as I've seen him in a long time today. His 6th straight start giving up less than 2 runs, and he was in total command from start to finish today.
So that will do it for our game coverage. Stay tuned. More to come on Coors Light post-game live. Final score today: the Marlins 13, the Cubs 3. Bob and I are back with you tomorrow at 1, but join us at 12:30 for pregame live. Randy Wells will go for the Cubs. Chris Volstad for Florida in a battle of righties. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad, and now for Bob and our entire CSN crew. This is Len Casper sending it over to Cap and Holly in our downtown Chicago Comcast Sports